Hello, we'll be looking at Jerusalem by William Blake today. Jerusalem was composed in 1804 by William Blake as a part of Milton. It is a poem that consists of 4 quatrains rhyming A, B, C, D, D, E, F, E, G, H, G, H, I, J, K, J. Originally, the poem did not have a title. Looking at the present title of the poem, churches have long used the term Jerusalem as a metaphor for heaven, a place of universal love and peace. In that sense, it is that place of peace and love that the poet is referring to by the term Jerusalem, not the geographical location. However, it must be noted that the title was actually something that had been given to the poem later by a composer who had set the poem down to music. It is said that Jerusalem was composed by Blake while he was living in a cottage, which is now called Blake's Cottage, in the village of Felpham in Sussex. Like his other poems, this shorter poem too presents a slice of Blake's philosophy and his desire for a better world. The theme of the poem is the misuse of power, which brings misery to humanity and need for love and peace. The poem's theme has a direct link to the book of Revelation, describing a second coming wherein Jesus is said to be coming to establish a new Jerusalem. Let's look at the first 2 stanzas of the poem. And did these feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green, and was the holy Lamb of God on England's pleasant pastures seen? And did the countenance divine shine forth upon our clouded hills? And was Jerusalem built here among these dark satanic mills? In the first 2 quatrains of the poem, the poetic persona asks 4 questions. All 4 questions are based on the legend that Jesus, during the missing 12 years of his life, had visited England accompanied by a merchant called Abraham of Arimathea. According to the British folklore scholar A.W. Smith, I quote, there was little reason to believe that an oral tradition concerning a visit made by Jesus to Britain existed before the early part of the 20th century, end quote. Blake in this poem uses the pseudo-biblical allusion to raise a point rather than to assert the historical truth of Christ's visit. The 4 rhetorical questions are: did Jesus visit England? Did people of England actually see Jesus? Did he bless England with his presence? Did Jesus build a community of peace and love where satanic mills are today? All 4 questions are examples of the use of parallelism, and they invite visual images. In addition, the use of feet is an example of the use of synecdoche, which draws the attention of the reader to that particular part of the divine anatomy. The 4 questions express the poetic persona's awe at the thought that Jesus had sanctified the very earth and air that he is occupying with his holy presence. This feeling of amazement is further accentuated by the use of the exclamation mark at the end of the first stanza. Referring to Jesus as Lamb, Blake does that in his poem, well-known poem, The Lamb, as well. Blake tries to draw the reader's attention to their shared qualities, such as innocence and purity. In addition, in the Old Testament, lambs are often offered as sacrifices. Jesus had sacrificed himself for the sins of the mankind, according to the Bible. In the second stanza, through the metaphor countenance divine, Jesus' face is compared to the sun. Did he bless our land with the warmth of his being? The poet asks. The metaphor generates lots of warm feelings in the reader. especially when juxtaposed with the phrase clouded hills. In addition, the metaphor also invites a visual image. With reference to Jerusalem, it is not the biblical town where Jesus was born, but the New Jerusalem Jesus said to have created in England the poet is referring to. The phrase satanic mills has become a part of English usage. Many think of the phrase as a reference to the early Industrial Revolution and its destruction of nature and human relationships. Others believe that the phrase refers to established Church of England, which promotes the established social order or the status quo. The poet brings past and present together in the last two lines of the second stanza and blurs time. He seems to have lost track of time for a moment, and it is done intentionally. Let's look at the third stanza. Bring me my bow of burning gold. Bring me my arrows of desire. Bring me my spear. O clouds unfold. Bring me my chariot of fire. The third stanza offers a series of imperatives, 4 parallel structures, and 2 of them end in exclamations, signaling further heightening of emotions. The poetic persona is about to go to battle against the satanic mills. He is addressing someone and demanding for his armor, a bow of burning gold, arrows of desire, and a spear. The weapons are somewhat unconventional due to the ferocity of the enemy. Thus armed, he is using an invocation, asking the clouds to unfold so that heaven would be able to see him better and probably safeguard him in this battle. Ultimately, he calls for his chosen mode of transport, a chariot of fire. There are several biblical allusions to the phrase chariot of fire in the Old Testament. Prophet Elijah was taken to heaven while he was still alive on such a chariot. In order to defeat the satanic mills or corrupt church, one would need a sign of divine favor in the league of what Elijah received. This is high time to recall that Blake in fact was accused of committing heresy and was only later cleared of the accusation. Being branded a heretic in a conservative society was tantamount to socio-economic death for the accused, whether proven or not. The phrase chariot of fire also can be understood as an allusion to divine energy, especially as the line ends with an exclamation mark. Let's look at the last stanza. I will not cease from mental fight, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand, till we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land. In the last stanza, the poetic persona declares 2 resolutions he has made. He will not cease from mental fight. He will not allow his sword to sleep in his hand till together he has built a Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land. The struggle is both mental and physical. The sword he is not going to rest could very well be his pen. Blake seems to assure his readers that he would not let his pen rest until they had managed to create a place of love and peace in England. Many assume that the reference to green and pleasant land has been inspired by the aforementioned visit to Sussex, where he seemed to have composed a major part of his work, Milton. The poem ends with a positive note of home and common struggle for better conditions. I would like to end this presentation with some questions. What is the rhyming scheme of the poem? What are the 4 rhetorical questions the poetic persona asks in the first 2 stanzas? What does Jerusalem stand for in the poem? What are 2 inspirations of the term satanic mills? What does the poetic persona feel that he has to destroy? What are 3 weapons the poetic persona is going to use in his battle against the satanic mills? What does he feel that he has to Why does he feel that he has to use a chariot of fire in his battle? Identify 3 techniques used in the 3rd stanza and their purposes. What does the poetic persona promise the reader that he would do in the last stanza? And finally, what is the aim of his struggle? With that, we come to the end of this presentation. Let's meet again in another presentation like this. Goodbye.